Good morning and welcome to StudyIQ, my dear friends. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you all are doing good. Today is 7th April 2020. Day is Tuesday. Let's start our day with this positive quote that you can see on your screen. Here we go. A good laugh is sunshine in the house. And this is right. We all are staying indoors. A lockdown is going on, and not just in our country but around the world. So, of course, we are trying to do our work. If you are like a student, then I'm sure you are spending most of your time in studying and things. But make sure that you find those opportunities in which you can laugh, you can share happiness, because it is said that laughter is a medicine. And this is right as well. It's not just about, it's not a theoretical thing. It's in reality as well. There are so many studies on this thing that laughter is a very important as well as very good medicine. So, laughing is, it keeps us happy, it keeps us in good shape as well as good health and good mood. With this, dear friends, if you are preparing for UPSC Civil Services Examination 2020, then look no further. We have a dedicated pen drive and tablet course available for Civil Services Examination 2020. This course is designed by some of the best faculties of our country. To find out more about it, do check out StudyIQ.com. To download the PDF of today's lecture, check out my Telegram channel. Please make sure that you share this lecture with other students. Hit the like button if you have learned something from today's discussion. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So, dear friends, on our table we have total 5 articles. The first one is Mind the Gap. This one is about the spread of this coronavirus. It's about globalization, transportation and other things. Then we have Do No Harm. Do No Harm is about this, attacks that are attacks conducted against medical personnel, which is a matter of shame, as well as this is something that is not acceptable at all. So we are going to go through these 2 editorials, and then we have a very interesting article written by former diplomat preparing for SARC 2.0. Then we have 2 items on food. This one is about food system, and this one is about food security. Again, something associated with food security and food system. So total 5 articles, and then we will go through some news items, and I have few questions as well for you today. So Mind the Gap. Mind the Gap starts with this first sentence, that for millennia, people traveled for reasons of religion and trade, and in recent decades, increasingly for pleasure too. Partly, I do agree with this first statement or first line that yes, since time immemorial, people have traveled from one place to another for trade and for religion. But we have some big names as well. Like, for example, Al-Biruni. I have one example of Al-Biruni. He traveled just for the sake of adventure and pleasure. And there are so many other people as well. If you go through your history books, then you will find names of so many travelers. They have traveled, and in fact, this people, they are like, their adventure was, from their personal point of view, it was an adventure. But if we look at it from humanity perspective, then they were creating these bridges, that they have shared so many things about their country, their culture, and they took our culture, our ideas, and our way of life to their countries and various different other countries. So I would say this travels, right, whether it was for religion purpose or religious purpose or trade or for pleasure or adventure, all these things have built a big base. This whole globalization I see is based on this base that was created by all those early travelers. Now, after this industrial revolution in late 50s, I'm talking about the industrial revolution that took place in England, and after that in various parts of Europe and Western world. And at present we know that the world is we have moved ahead of industrialization. Now we are in industrial revolution 4.0. 3.0 is we are still there, one leg in 3.0 and one leg in 4.0. Anyway, things have changed drastically after this 1750s, and we know because of today we have the fastest thing that we have for transportation is aeroplanes. Then you know that this Hyperloop is also being tested in USA, and I think in India, in Maharashtra, they are going to test this Hyperloop. Right, we have some videos as well on Hyperloop on our channel, and you can Google it and go through it. Just a 5-minute research will be more than enough. So you should know a bit about it, because science and technology, under that section, you may find a question on Hyperloop. You never know. So anyway, coming back to, after getting this basic understanding about this aeroplanes, when I say basic, I mean to say that we are talking about this various different modes of transportation. So because of aeroplane, right, we can travel from one place to another. Roughly speaking, in 24 hours, you can travel the whole, from here to USA, or you can be at any other country if you want in 24 hours, or maybe 36 hours max. And all this is possible because of this, fast transportation facilities. But there are some negative sides as well. This germs. So this is not the first one. Ebola. Then we have other germs as well. All these germs have traveled to various different countries because of this globalized transportation system. And in the history of humankind, no pestilence has spread as far as the novel coronavirus is concerned, because the world is more interconnected. The other thing is, the world is very much connected with China. One of the main reasons for this global spread is China. Not blaming China here, but the thing is, China is at the center of the world trade and economy. China is biggest trading partner of at least 120 countries and regions. Much of Europe and USA are also part of this. China is one of the biggest trading partner of various different European countries as well as USA. At least 430,000 people traveled from China to US after this outbreak of the disease. And right now, all efforts and attention on the environment, of the government must be on containment and mitigation. The environment around the world, like in USA, in not in UK, but in other countries, in USA and in other countries, I'm talking about the social environment. There is a sort of racism that is going on against Chinese people at present because of this coronavirus outbreak. Now we have to understand this thing that Chinese people are, their situation is just like you and I. They're traveling in the same boat. They have, our problems are same. So far what we know is that the government of China was, initial or inception of this coronavirus, government of China, it refrained from sharing this information with the world and with WHO. Then we can blame government of China, but not individuals or citizens of China, right? It's not their fault. We have to understand this thing. As far as this negative environment in our country is concerned, for some strange reason, and because of this stereotype and lack of information, there are a few cases where people of our country, they are harassing people from northeast of our country. They are our people, right? And I don't know why people are doing this thing, but they are not Chinese people, and you cannot have this sort of stereotype. This is very bad, right? It's not bad for them, it's bad for you. I'm not blaming you. I'm telling those people who are, using those wrong words for people from northeast, and this is absolutely not acceptable. With legal and police action against those who are not cooperating with the official measures is essential. Care must be taken against adding fuel to the fire of communalism. We have to be very careful here that we already have some social fissures that are going on, right? There are a few problems in our society. We don't want this coronavirus to become one reason for people to fight with each other. So this is time for cooperation. This is the time when we should display understanding and sensibility. Moving on to next item, do no harm. Again, this is, you can connect these two articles. I see they are connected because they are about coronavirus, and again it's about this hate and violence that is going on, and unfortunately it's going on against healthcare workers, doctors and nurses and all those people who are in this sector. Not everyone, but we have big cases going on, and this is not acceptable at all. I'm sure you have watched that video in which this doctor enters into a street in a mohalla or something, and people start throwing stones, and they start chasing that doctor. And we talked about that thing, isn't it? I told you that the next day the doctor was back on duty in the same area. So we have this sort of brave doctors as well. But this will create, means if you have this, if people will behave like in this way, then doctors and medical professionals, they will not feel to step out from their home. They are helping us in this fight against coronavirus, and this is a battle of virus versus humanity, and we have to win this battle. And for that, our army or our frontline army is our doctors and medical professionals, all those people who are working in this healthcare sector. So it is important that we support them. We have so many cases, like 2 women doctors were injured. Earlier, there were reports of locals in Ranipura allegedly spitting at officials as they took up screening. Last week, doctors at Hyderabad's Gandhi Hospital were attacked after a patient with multi-comorbidities. Now, we all know that if you are suffering from lung disease, diabetes, or other sort of non-communicable diseases, and if you catch this coronavirus, then chances of your survival is quite bleak. And that's what happened in this Hyderabad's Gandhi Hospital. A patient passed away because he was suffering from multiple comorbidities, and he died, and people started attacking the doctors at Hyderabad Hospital. This is not acceptable. ASHA workers were reportedly attacked in Bengaluru, Karnataka, when they went to collect data on COVID-19 systems. 12 people allegedly assaulted a health inspector and his team when they went there to isolate the family of a patient who had attended the Nizamuddin conclave. And this is coming from Mumbai's Dharavi. Police personnel are being attacked as well. I'm sure you have came across this sort of videos as well, where police personnel are attacked and people are not cooperating with the lockdown. And the thing is, the more you panic, if you are relying on fake news, if your sources are not right sources, if they are providing you all those negative information regarding coronavirus and government's agenda and all these things, then we will find this sort of we will find ourselves in this sort of situation where people are behaving irrationally and people are indulging in violence and this sort of things. And it's not that doctors are not helping us. In fact, there are so many doctors, right, and nurses, they are also suffering from this coronavirus because they are trying to help us, and unfortunately they also get infected with this virus. I think it was 2 days ago, we have gone through a picture. Remember, I have added one picture in one of my PPTs. I think 2 days ago, there was this picture of a nurse who has recovered from this coronavirus epidemic. In Wokhad, doctors and workers have tested positive while treating patients. So, WHO is saying the same thing. WHO has developed guidelines for addressing workplace violences. Then you have this UN Special Rapporteur. He has also said that healthcare workers are our heroes and we need to protect them. They are setting best examples of humanity, right? They are risking their lives. Their kids are staying home. Their family members, their parents are waiting for these people, and these people are helping people, helping families, in this fight against coronavirus. So it is important that the safety as well as dignity of these people, it is in, it's this responsibility on government's shoulder, and not only government's shoulder, on people's shoulder as well. Equally, we have to support government as well as these people in our fight against coronavirus. Now, dear friends, let's talk about something different, right? This one is about SAARC 2.0. Now, SAARC stands for South Asian Association of Regional Cooperation. On your screen, you can see this is the logo of SAARC, right? And you have 8 countries. Early on as well, I have taken you guys through the SAARC nations, but I think there are many new students as well. So let's quickly revise. We have total 8 countries in this SAARC. So let me write it down here, the full form. South Asian, this whole region that you can see on your screen, this is South Asia, right? South Asian Association of Regional, this is whole region, right? So regional cooperation. So that's what SAARC stands for. You have total 8 countries: Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, then you have this Nepal, tiny country Bhutan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and last one but not the least is Maldives. So you have this 8 countries. You can go through the capital of all these countries. Once we are done with this video, you can download the PDF and go through the things, and I would recommend you guys to spend at least 5-10 minutes after this map and observe all the countries. And if you can, then do open the map of Asia in your atlas and go through this map and locate West Asia and why this is. Try to find this answer not online but just by going through the map of Asia, like why this region is called South Asia, right? Because there are many things. First of all, geographical location, then you have a cultural thing, and there are other things as well. Anyway, so this is SAARC. Now, if you go through the history of SAARC, you find that SAARC is not that active, or you can say its track record is not that successful. And since 2016, SAARC has remained in a sort of hibernation or dormant mode. Uri army base, you know the whole story, right? I'm sure most of us, I believe 99% of us, we have gone through this film as well. Uri, right? A very interesting, a very beautiful film. It's about this Uri attack and things. So you know the whole story of Uri, what happened. Since 2016 till now, this SAARC has stayed in this dormant mode. But recently, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he tweeted, and this tweet has provided a new life to this group SAARC. The first ever virtual summit took place on 15th March. We have talked about this meeting. Remember that this fund, this SAARC COVID fund, the full name is COVID-19 Emergency Fund, was created. And this COVID-19 is a common fight, as we have already discussed, humanity versus coronavirus. And the fight against COVID-19 has been taken up in right earnest through a series of tangible measures. Now, all 8 member states were represented at this video conference, and highest level, like mostly prime ministers and presidents were present, except Pakistan. But anyway, it's fine that Pakistan was on board, so that's important. The Secretary General of SAARC also participated in this video conference, and this was not just about, it's not like a talk show. Something has happened as well, like this thing. COVID-19 Emergency Fund was created. Remember, India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has contributed, or India has contributed $10 million. And after that, other countries voluntarily, they have also contributed. And the total at present is 18.8 million, or total 18.8 million, including India's 10 million was organized. And this fund is now operational as well. Bhutan, Nepal, Afghanistan, Maldives, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, all these countries have started using this fund as well. And this is not a big amount, of course, I understand, 18.8 million amongst this populated countries, right? So it's not a big amount, but I'm not that much, inclined towards or concerned about this amount. I'm more happy about the focus, or means happy about this spirit, this spirit with which all these countries, like-minded countries, they have come together. And now SAARC is again in a sort of active phase. Now it is on us, when I say us, I'm talking about the SAARC nations, to keep it in active phase and to take it to another level. It will be entirely on each and every country's contribution. We know very well that for a very long period of time, Pakistan has played a sort of, it has always behaved in a very reluctant way as far as connectivity is concerned, and so many things are concerned. And recently, in a meeting, the writer of this article, ex-diplomat, he asked a question as well to External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar about India's viewpoint on various different groups, because SAARC has been in an inactive role, or it was in an inactive phase or zone. So India started giving more weight to BIMSTEC and other groups. So this question by this diplomat to our External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar about these groups was like like, are we giving more importance to group, or which particular group is going to be, you can say, the main, you can say, apple of our, or you can say basically like, which group are we going to pay more attention to? BIMSTEC, and we are going to leave this SARC as it is now. So as Jaishankar has said that India had no preference for a specific platform. It's not about BIMSTEC, it's not about SARC, it's all about regional cooperation and connectivity. So if you are getting more regional cooperation and connectivity from SARC, then we'll do that thing. And as I told you, like-minded neighbors, we can do this thing, right? We can drop Pakistan. What I'm saying, this is just a food for thought. I'm not saying that this is what these countries are going to do. If we can drop Pakistan, we can have a SARC 2.0 without Pakistan. And other countries, they have behaved in a very friendly manner with New Delhi, and New Delhi has also been there for all these countries. And all these other countries, they know it very well that we can go ahead, we can drop Pakistan. And so this is just a food for thought. We should think about it. Moving on to restructuring our food system for a healthy world. Now, this novel coronavirus pandemic is an opportunity for us to analyze our food system, ideate, and make changes for a healthier and more sustainable future. We all know that this coronavirus is a zoonotic disease, like from a wild animal, it has reached the human beings. And if you go through today's news, then you find that from human beings, it is going to wild animals. It all started with this wet market of Wuhan, China. Unfortunately, this market is on now, particularly in Hubei province. They have restarted this wet market, so I'm not sure what will happen in the future. And if you go back through all these big epidemics like Ebola, HIV, SARS, and this latest one, coronavirus, we find that it has always been our human beings' food and our wrong habits, or our wrong food system that has created this path from from wild animals. We are getting these viruses and other pathogens. So what lessons do these various outbreaks offer us? The answer is that we should go for a sustainable food system. If we take example of our country, then generally we blame, or we know that in China they have this variety of wet market, very dangerous. But in India as well, things are not that great. We have the world's largest livestock population. Second is that we are largest producer of buffalo meat. 100 million eggs are produced annually. Earlier on, this used to be a backyard thing, but now industrialization of all these things, poultry farms and so big things are there. So the main focus is not sustenance, it's more about making profit. And to make profit, now we are using antibiotics. And this antibiotics that we are giving to our farm animals, they are killing vultures and they are killing other animals as well. But they are also developing this antimicrobial resistance bacteria, which is a big threat for us. A majority of Indian households buy meat from local meat shops, and their situation is just like wet markets. There are no regulations. They are not following FSSAI's standards. Even if you go to a meat market, if you ask about FSSAI, then I'm not sure how many of them would be aware about this FSSAI and their standards. So things are as dangerous, you can say, as we find in Chinese wet market. Welfare standards of animal is something that we have to consider, and the main reason why people consume meat is one of the main reason is protein, right? Apart from that, there is taste as well is a thing. But I'm not saying that you should not consume. I'm not saying that all of us should become vegetarian. It's totally your choice. I am no one to tell you what to eat and what not to eat. But the thing is, if protein is the only reason, then we have other good sources as well. I'm just saying, as we find it here, that you can get cholesterol as well as antibiotic-free plant-based meats. Do you know this thing? There is a thing called plant-based meat, and you have two companies, Impossible Foods and Beyond Meat. These two companies, they've won this Champions of the Earth award as well. This is highest environment honor given by United Nations. So we can produce meat from plant as well. It's not a meat, it's not exactly like a meat that you get from an animal, but in terms of taste, in terms of feel, and in terms of nutrition. It is better than this normal meat. So India, agrarian economy, we can think about it, and we have this export. We can export this plant-based meat to various different countries of the world, and we can earn huge amount of money. Our farmers can get this opportunity to double their income. And lastly, we were talking about this transportation, so that we are living in an interconnected world. So if in future, if we have this sort of one virus entering or finding its way into human lobby, then it can spread to different parts of the world in no time because of this transportation and other things. Last one is about food crisis. We need to avoid food crisis. Food and Agricultural Organization has warned of a food crisis if countries do not protect vulnerable people from hunger and malnutrition. Let's say in our country, there are so many various different agricultural fields. They are ready for, this harvesting season is on in many places. But the problem is you don't have that many farm laborers. Even if you have farm laborers, then what are you going to do with your product or your yield, right? You cannot sell it because of lockdown. This government has said that this is part of essential service, but things are not running as normal. So transportation and other things are a big hurdle. So it's not that easy at present because of this lockdown. As far as global food stock is concerned, and we are talking about cereals, so as of 2nd April 2020, as per FAO, 861 million tons of cereal stock is there with the world. But if you break it down, China has roughly 52% of global wheat stock. India has about 20% of global rice stock. And then you have other wheat exporter countries like Kazakhstan. It has banned exports. Russia has banned export of wheat. And if major holders like rice and wheat holders, if they will stop selling their items, if they will stop exporting their items, then this will create a food crisis in various different parts of the world. Vietnam, the third largest rice exporter, has stopped its exports. India and Thailand too ban exports. The world supply of rice will, if these two countries, if they will ban, then this rice demand is static and supply will go down. So it will create a sort of price rise and food insecurity for millions of people. In March 2020, Philippines and European Union, major rice importers, had inventories that can last for 3 months. There are many countries, they have inventories that can last them for 1 month only. So sudden stop in supply can create food crisis, malnutrition, and other negative things in different parts of the world. So it is very important that we, create that environment, particularly, let's say, in our country. Now, government has declared agricultural activity as an essential services. Government has said that people need to maintain social distancing, but laborers, that they have migrated to various different places. So we don't have any laborers, and you cannot afford to have this machines for your small farmland. In our country, we have this unique challenge that 85% of our farmland are small, or 85% farmers are small and marginal and small farmers. So they need those khet mazdoors, or those agriculture laborers, but they are not there. They have left these villages and cities, and they are heading, or they are stuck in these camps on highways. So we need to get rid of this supply bottlenecks as quickly as possible, and livestock feeds are also running out, and this will create a disruption in food in this milk market. So we don't want this sort of situation. So for that, governments, particularly state governments, they have to work on it. There are so many trucks, like 5 lakh trucks, are stranded in highways and state borders. They need to, they should be allowed. Home Ministry has already said that trucks coming from various different states, as far as they are carrying essential or non-essential items, they should be allowed to enter, and they should be, able to freely move from one place to another. Now, moving on to news items, dear friends. Prime Minister Modi seeks ministers' view on calibrated exit from lockdown. Here is one more important statement from PM. He said that over and above all, please remember that one strategy that has worked to contain this disease has been social distancing. And if you go through other states like Telangana CM has said that we need to extend the lockdown beyond 14th April. Uttar Pradesh lockdown is going to be extended. Then a few other changes like MP LEDs. This one is Member of Parliament Local Area Development. For 2 years, this scheme is suspended and the money will be spent for controlling this COVID-19. Affected districts rose from 62 to 257 in 15 days. So it's spreading quite wildly in our country as well. And in New York Zoo, a tiger tests positive for virus. And not just tiger, there are like African lions and Amu tigers that are like, these are Siberian tigers, and other Malian tiger, they got this dry coughs. But the good news is that they are recovering. But the sad news is that from human beings, this virus can spread to various different other animals, and then it can spread to human beings as well. So it can enter our whole ecosystem. I'm not sure whether it will, but it can, or it can enter into few animals or few, you can say, blocks of our ecosystem, and that is a matter of concern. And Sudan finalizes deal to settle USS Cole case. This one is about this terror attack on this ship, right, in which 17 families of 17 American soldiers were killed. And that's everything in today's discussion. 2 questions. Recently, India supplied 6.2 tons of essential medicines to which country? This is your question 1. And with that, you have one more question associated with it. And what is the specific name of this operation, this 6.2 ton medicine item operation? What is the name of this operation? And the second question is, which nation was in global news for its medical diplomacy? And that's everything in today's discussion. Thank you very much for watching this video, dear friends. Do stick your answer in the comment section. Please make sure that you share this lecture with other students. Hit the like button if you have learned something from today's discussion. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stay indoor, stay healthy. God bless you all. Jai Hind.